Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Craig. I am your host, Craig DeLuz. This is my coffee. That is my backup coffee. So you can be assured that I will be well caffeinated for today's show, and I hope you are too. So please take a moment, like and share this program, whether you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube or listening to us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Let your friends know that this is the place to be at this time. Also, please remember to go to fbcgear.com. That's fbcgear.com. We have all sorts of cool t-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies, you name it. All opportunities for you to outwardly express your support for the Second Amendment. Also knowing that every penny that you spend goes right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's fbcgear.com. We all know that last week there was a tragedy that took place in Thousand Oaks, California. It was a shooting that took place in a bar that was largely full of college students. And, you know, and it is unfortunate that it seems like these sorts of shootings are becoming more and more commonplace. Well, one of the other things that is becoming more and more commonplace is that every single time one of these incidents happen, there is a call by the anti-gun politicians to, basically to ban guns. In fact, we just had an election here in the state of California, and one of our newly elected politicians, the governor-elect, former lieutenant governor, decided that he was going to chime in when it came to this particular issue, when it came to the shooting that took place, and he decided that here's what he had to say. This is Gavin Newsom, current lieutenant governor. And as well as governor-elect. This cannot be normalized. This is America. It's got to change. This doesn't happen anywhere else on the planet. The response cannot be more prayers, more excuses. It sure as hell cannot be more guns. Well, I find this to be incredibly interesting because, once again, now keep in mind, this is a guy who, does what he does specifically to be in the spotlight. Doesn't really care if he has any real understanding of the issue. And a great example is Proposition 63, which he was the lead proponent of in 2016. It was a conglomerate of a bunch of anti-gun ideas that were so bad that even California's liberal legislature, anti-gun legislature, decided, yeah, no, these are bad ideas. But he decided in his infinite wisdom that these are things that should in fact be law. This is what he felt should become law. And the California Department of Justice is still trying to figure out how to implement some of this stuff, because they can't just go to him and say, or they can go to him and say, yeah, this is not really implementable because it's really not consistent with the law. But doesn't matter. They're not going to do that because Xavier Becerras, who is as equally as interested in seeking the spotlight as Gavin Newsom, well, he's not interested in doing such either. But there was an interesting article in the San Jose Mercury that actually noted, and I have to give them some credit because it actually demonstrated some of the problems with their entire thinking. He's saying the answer is not more guns, and we've got to do something. But his call for gun control is in a state that already has some of the most stringent gun laws in the entire country. Now, mind you, California has received an A rating from the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence in their annual gun law scorecard. And they get it every year because we have some of the strictest gun laws in the entire country. Now, let's just break down kind of just some of the very, very basic facts about what happened here. So you're talking about, this alleged gunman, he was identified as a 28-year-old U.S. Marine Corps veteran. He was armed with a legally purchased Glock 21, which is .45 caliber handgun. Now law enforcement has called what he used an extended magazine. Now, I don't know if that's, I honestly don't know if that means it was extended, because I know the 21, you can also get a 26 round magazine. I don't know if that's what he used or if it was the standard capacity 13-round magazine. So far, they haven't told us. They keep saying they need to analyze it to see how many rounds it's going to hold. I don't really know what sort of analysis you have to do except stick bullets in the thing or look at the length. I don't know what you need to do. Try to put rounds into it. I imagine the 13-rounder could have been modified to hold only 10 rounds. So we don't know. But all they're saying is that it was extended. Now, so that's what we know. We know we went into a place where individuals were prohibited from possessing a firearm. Generally, most sheriffs in the state of California, when they issue their CCWs, on it, at least I can say on mine, it reads that, I'm not allowed to possess in a place that sells alcohol as its primary business. Meaning, if you're in a restaurant that sells alcohol, that's okay. If you're in a bar, that's a whole different thing. So you're not allowed then to conceal carry. So thus making all nightclubs or most nightclubs gun-free zones. All right, so let's talk about the laws that in fact did not work. All right, now these are all the laws that are in place that people keep introducing or say that we need to have in order to prevent this. Let's see, the assault weapons ban. Well, he didn't use an AR-15. He didn't use an AK. He didn't use a semi-automatic rifle. So, therefore, there's one law that I know we're going to see proposed or expanded or something along those lines that wouldn't have done anything, or what we have in place now didn't do anything, and anything that they would propose wouldn't do anything. Well, clearly the not unsafe handgun roster, which is in essence in the newspaper they called it what they said that they have a list of guns that won't allow you to buy Saturday night specials, which shows a complete and utter ignorance as to what the not unsafe handgun roster is. It is basically a ban on all new semi-automatic handguns in the state of California. That's in essence what it is. Unless it has microstamping, you cannot use it in the state of California, or you cannot. Let me clarify: you cannot purchase it from a firearms retailer in the state of California. It's considered a not unsafe handgun. What else doesn't work? Oh, magazine ban. Well, clearly either this was a 13-round magazine or a 26-round magazine, but clearly the magazine ban did not keep this individual from getting access to a magazine that holds more than 10 rounds, or at least that's what we're hearing from law enforcement. Now, even with that, with a 10-round magazine, one has to raise the question, in particular when it comes to a handgun, how much time would it really have taken him between reloads? So once again, I don't know that the magazine size, the magazine ban made any particular difference here. 1 in 30, the only ability to only purchase one handgun every 30 days. Well, clearly he only used one handgun, so 1 in 30 wouldn't have done anything. 10-day waiting period, nope, didn't do anything. Armed prohibited persons list. Well, there was no reason why this person would have been on the arms prohibited persons list. They're too busy going and taking firearms away from people who shouldn't be on the list. So clearly, let's not go after someone who probably should be on the list. And then there's the big one, the gun violence restraining orders, or red flag laws, as you folks know them in other states, or extreme risk protection orders. Now, mind you, we have those here in the state of California. In fact, one of the things that the article notes is that the individual's mother lived in fear, which meant she could have sought to exercise a gun violence restraining order. Didn't happen. A number of times law enforcement was called. And now law enforcement, having the ability to check APHIS, they had the ability to know whether or not this individual had purchased any or owned any firearms. For some reason, I don't know why, either they didn't know or they didn't think to seek a gun violence restraining order. And they very easily could have. So here we have something that is in place that, hey, obviously didn't do the job. And so what is their answer? Their answer is more gun legislation. Now, mind you, you would think that the insanity, the idea they would recognize that because We've done all of this stuff, right? And nothing has made a difference. It's only made California less safe. We've passed all these laws and nothing's happened. Think about it. In March, just recently in March, you had a soldier who shot three mental health workers in Yountville, right? None of the laws that are in place in California stop that. November 17th, a deranged man up in Tehama County went around shooting up the town, including at a school, shot 5 people. Once again, didn't stop that. December 2015, you had the husband and wife there in San Bernardino who decided to go on a shooting spree there in a government building down there in Southern California in San Bernardino. Now, this was a terrorist act. And guess what? This didn't stop it. All of these mass shootings took place here in the state of California within the last 3 years. During a time in which California already had some of the most stringent gun laws and decided to double down on them. And guess what? It hasn't stopped. In fact, it's only made more potential victims. Now, I wanted to share this with you because this was something that was shared online, and we have not had a chance to verify it yet, but I wanted to make sure that you guys saw this. Now, I talked to you a little bit earlier about concealed carry. And that, one, businesses have the ability to prohibit individuals from concealed carrying. If they have a sign posted saying no firearms in our business, you are not allowed to carry. Well, if you do carry, they can ask you to leave, and if you stay, you're trespassing. But then again, also some individuals, some sheriffs, when they issue their permits, prohibit you from being able to carry in places that sell alcohol as a primary source of business. Well, it appears that one of the bouncers that attempted to engage the shooter actually had a concealed carry permit, but was not allowed to have it. Was not allowed to possess it. And this was actually, it wasn't a tweet. This was from Facebook. It says, a very close friend of mine, Shawn Adler, was the bouncer at the club last night. He was the first to engage the shooter and tried to disarm him. Shawn was a CCW holder and not allowed to carry on the premises. Had he been allowed to carry, we wouldn't even know about it. And I'll let you guys read the rest of it. But that is in essence what we're talking about here is the complete and utter ignorance. See, what they don't tell you is that when a good guy stops a mass shooting, meaning they're able to stop a shooter before they're able to do any damage, you don't hear about that oftentimes in the mainstream media. You don't hear about it in the news. You don't see it reported anywhere because they don't want you to know that it happens over 1.5 million times every year. A good guy with a gun stops a bad guy from doing harm to others or to themselves. But they don't want you to know that. Gavin Newsom does not want you to know that. He doesn't want you to know that he believes in the idea of being surrounded by people with firearms because he knows that they protect him. If the answer is not more guns, Mr. Gavin Newsom, then I suggest this to you. Get rid of your security detail, or at the very least disarm them, because more guns aren't the solution. You believe that disarming law-abiding citizens who simply want to defend themselves from these evildoers, you believe that is the answer. And all that has done in the state of California is create more victims. Now, I know you're saying, well, but California has one of the lowest firearm homicide rates. Well, no, do you know why California has some of the lowest, let me clarify, had some of the lowest crime rates? It was because we got tough on criminals. But you support laws that take criminals, lowers the severity of their crimes, and then lets them out on the streets. You're adding to the problem. You're the ones that are making victims out of people. You're disarming them, and then you're letting violent criminals out on the street. And you want us to believe that you have the solution. Yeah, we've seen what you've done with what you did with San Francisco as its mayor. It has become a literal shithole. And if you get mad because I said that, let me just be real clear. They spend $10 million a year cleaning up human waste off of the streets of San Francisco. Now, if that is not a shithole, I do not know what is. And yet still you want to tell us. Now you're ready to do that to the rest of the state of California. Well, I can tell you right now, Mr. Newsom, I realize you will sign whatever stupid idea makes it to your desk. I realize that. And we at the Firearms Policy Coalition will do whatever we can to stop that madness from getting to your desk. Because we realize that, well, you and your anti-gun friends, your people who just want to make victims out of the people of California, you cannot help yourselves. You can't. It is like a mental illness with you. You're constant, I want to do something so that I feel good, as opposed to doing something so that you are doing good. You are pathetic, Mr. Newsom. And once again, as you dance over the bodies of the victims of this tragedy, we, the Firearms Policy Coalition, will be here to stand in your way to keep you from making more victims. Anyway, that's going to be it for Coffee with Craig. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please take a moment, like and share this video, like and share this podcast. Let people know about the Firearms Policy Coalition, because as I always tell you, this is a fight for our civil rights. We have got to use them or we will lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.